Sippers, welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast with me, Shane Todd. Can I say, we've been doing this podcast for a long time. Dan, how long have we been doing the podcast for? Roughly, ballpark?
Well, 18 months for the podcast. We've been in here for about 4.
18 months, done the podcast, been in the studio for 4. And I've had a lot of guests. You're talking hundreds of hours worth of content. Some of the best comedians in the land. And funny stuff's happened. But just a second ago, I just got confused as to which camera I should be looking in. And Dan has never laughed more than that moment there. You know, which is disrespectful because we've had the finest comedy minds in. And all it took was for me to realise that after 18 months, I've been looking on the wrong camera the whole time.
It's because you went, Dan, what camera am I looking at? And there's literally only one camera pointed at your face.
Yeah, look.
But that's you. That's
just, and I make no apologies for it.
That's just the way you are.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. I'm joined by Aaron Butler.
Hello. Good to be here. Thanks for having me, as
This
always.
is the most normal you've been dressed.
Very
It's like
tame.
you're trying to do an impression of a regular guy.
It's not working. I'm just, it's the feel today, so don't want to disrespect any of the events happening. Left the house, didn't want to be too loud in your, because I live beside where the feel is happening, so I just went, let McDonald have his moment, let him enjoy the day, because it's his day today, and I hope he wins.
Will you be there tonight?
I'm in Kesselderg with Paddy McDonald tonight doing support. And
The biggest cultural celebration. Dan, you want me to do reads? Yeah, Dan wants me to do some reads. So
you do reads and we'll come back to that. Let's park
Let's
that.
do those first. Sorry.
Go.
Sorry, let's do some reads.
Read it out.
Let me kick off
Blue Chew.
with Punjana. What does that give you? Punjana. What is Punjana? Number one selling tea in Northern Ireland. Thompson family have been making tea since the 1800s. You know, a lot of people at that time were concerned about medieval battles, but the Thompson family were just working on tea. In between dodging arrows being shot from a portcullis, the Thompson family were like, how do we get nice tea to the people of Northern Ireland? And they travel all around the world to bring us the best tea there is. Because here's the thing, if I was setting up a tea company, it would be from like handy places. Like if I was setting up a tea company, I would be bringing you tea from places like Lurgan, Dungannon. I don't even know if there is tea fields there, but I wouldn't be willing to travel to places like India where the Thompson family go, a place like that, to bring you the best tea in the world. The Thompson family taste all of their tea with their own mouths. Mouths, you decide. It's the number one selling tea in Northern Ireland. Look, you know there's a lot of brands out there, but you know that a lot of them are evil. Every other brand, basically. But Punjana is just a good cup of tea. We drink it on the podcast. We're fueled by it. And you just got to go out there and get it. I wish I had a discount code or something, but we asked Punjana, we asked the Thompsons, do you want us to do a discount code? Can people buy tea online? Is it weird to buy tea online? And they went, nah, just tell people about it. So we've told people about it, and you know what to do. Go out there, drink Punjana, get Punjana tattooed on you, on your forehead, on your back, on your thigh, whatever it is. The first person to get Punjana tattooed on themselves gets a sit in on the podcast for 1 week. Would that work? Someone will do that. Some lunatic will do that. No. Someone will just be sitting in that chair with Punjana like Mike Tyson tattooed tribally around their face, and it'll be Paddy McDonald. Punjana tastes good in your mouth.
Oh.
Also, we are sponsored by Manscaped. Let's go from the mouth down south. Manscaped are the number one in men's below the belt grooming, and you guys know as well as I do, everything above the belt, bit Presbyterian, a little bit safe, a little bit beige. Everything below the belt, rude, raunchy, satanic. I don't know. But what I do know is that, look, if you're overgrown down there, and listen, as much as I am a big Manscaped advocate and user of the product, I could do with practicing what I preach right now. You know when you just leave it like slightly too long and then you get a bit scared, you're like, oh, it's a little bit like, say, you know, say during the summer you're cutting your grass all the time and it looks good, and you're actually cutting sometimes too much. You're like a couple of times a week, you know, and it stays a great length. Do you ever get it where the grass grows like slightly too long and you go, that's okay, isn't it? I mean, that looks fine. But then what about when it's really long and you're like, I might need a strimmer first and then to cut the grass? I'm nearly at that point. So what I'm saying is, after this podcast, I'm going to take the Lawnmower 4.0. Speaking of lawnmowers, and I'm going to sort myself out. This has wireless charging. You know there was a Lawnmower 1.0. You know there's a Lawnmower 2.0, 3.0. Manscaped said you're never going to guess what's coming next. Everybody went 4.0, and Manscaped were raging because they're like, well, yeah, but you kind of ruined it now. But look at this product, right? Now, it's below the belt. You could use it anywhere below the belt.
Whoa.
I just did that. They in their performance package, they have things like ball cleanser, ball deodorant, ball wipes. If people are out and about again, if you're going to things, if you're maybe taking a little bit of a break to, I don't know, Cancun, if you're taking a break to Blackpool, what you need to do is get the performance package. You just go Tea with me for 20% off and free shipping, and you can take this anywhere, and it's really good. Manscaped.com, Tea with me, 20% off, free shipping. Finally, let me just plug Patreon, patreon.com/Tea with me podcast. We do a bonus episode every Monday, and that could be anything. It could be a traditional studio episode. It could be me on my way to a gig or on my way home from a gig. You've done one, Aaron,
Good
where we
fun.
just talk. We do a post-match analysis
Yeah.
of how the gig went. Sometimes it was great, sometimes it wasn't, and we're brutally honest about that, and they're good fun. Or sometimes I take the baby for a walk. I put a Britney Spears microphone on. I don't. It's Bluetooth headphones, and I just walk about country roads talking to myself. So
like
that's patreon.com/Tea with me podcast. Pay a couple of quid, get great bonus content, and that's what it is. Now,
Nah.
let's get into it.
Sure.
My guest is Aaron Butler. Do you have a middle name?
Mitchell. I swear to God, I do. I don't even have my ID on me. Hold on, if I can find a photo of my ID,
Aaron
I'll show
Mitchell
you.
Butler sounds like a law firm that I would not want to represent me.
Genuinely, if I can find a document
Mitchell?
on my Dropbox, yeah.
Your mum and dad like the EastEnders?
I don't know what the concept behind Mitchell was. No, they didn't even, because I
Well,
think
Mitchell can be a first name as well, right?
but
Aaron Mitchell Butler.
yeah, that
Aaron
is
Mitchell Butler sounds like the sassiest choreographer in town.
in West End. I can't find.
Okay, I
it on
believe you. I
here.
believe you've gone into that. I
Sorry.
believe you. You know what my middle name is?
No.
Stuart, but it's spelled Stewart. Hate that. Hate that. I
Aye.
want to lose it. Like,
Yeah, what do you do? Do you have to go to court or something and just legally drop
I
it?
mean, I don't think you go to court. I think you maybe just fill in like a thing. I don't think you
form.
go to court. Like packed courthouse and a jury.
And announce it?
You give your evidence, and weirdly, there's a prosecution. You have the defense.
Yeah, you go to jail for it.
Aaron Mitchell Butler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honestly, that's a better stage name than Aaron Butler. Aaron Mitchell Butler.
I start using it now.
Yeah, because Aaron Mitchell Butler sounds like he might do stand up, he might do interpretive dance,
I
or
do
it
all
might
of
be
it.
like a stop smoking lecture from Aaron Mitchell Butler.
Yeah, I tell internet safety to kids in schools. Yeah.
No,
Well.
you would not be the person.
No.
That
Well, I'm gigging with Paddy McDonald at the minute on his tour, and he's just saying stuff.
Hey, tell me more.
And yeah, he's just saying it's very different vibe than gigging with you on your tour. He just says stuff, and 90% of his stories start with "I have a mate," right? And the rest of the story just goes into utter chaos.
By the way, you know when he says "I've got a mate," what
It's
he
him.
means is this happened to me.
It's all him. But he said one line out of the blue last night, and I had to stop and just go, "That's shite, Paddy." I had to literally. He goes, he's in Bagger Williams' car. He goes, 7 out of 10 people are pedophiles, and I went. And there was utter silence, and I just thought and went, no. I was like, that's not true. And
5 of you in a car looking at each other doing maths.
that's why I was like, so statistically, me or William is a pedophile right now, is that what you're saying? And I was like, so you're saying 70% of the world's population is a pedophile? And he goes, oh. And I was like, no, Paddy, that's not true. He's like, look it up.
7 out of
10 people are pedophiles.
I mean,
Statistics with Paddy McDonald. I was like, it's just not, it just can't be real.
and he'll like proper conviction on what he says. Like
Believes it to the nth degree, but that's Paddy for you.
7 out of 10 people.
get very different treatment with Paddy as well compared to like yourself or whatever. We went to the Elk last night, and as you know, when we go to the Elk, they
Oh, my backstage vibe is a lot of potpourri, a lot of buffets,
Sure.
chaise longue, grapes.
It's just we get the
Enya.
works. Yeah, we get when we went there last time. They gave us menus on the way in. They put us in a beautiful room. They guys just come down whenever you feel like blah blah. We show up with Paddy. They're just like, all right, go out the back there. There's no, not even a glass of water. Like, I was just sitting there going, this isn't as cool now.
People panic when I come in as if I'm, like an undercover shopper.
Yeah.
Like if you knew there was an undercover shopper, you'd be running about being like, here, this is the best trolley. You know?
Yeah.
People like run in, they're like, oh, the wee man has dietary requirements.
Yeah, they
People,
do.
like, there's always someone running about sweating at my gigs that works there that like, and I'm really overworking them.
Yeah, and the whole week leading up to you arriving, they're like, Shane's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm the only guy who gets a Coke Zero with his meal and demands they just pour a bit in so I can taste it. Yes. I mean, he's talking about 7 out of 10 people's pedophile. At 7 out of 10 gigs, I'll spit in a member of staff's face. If something's substandard, even just a little bit, like you've seen it,
yeah.
I fly off the handle easily. Like.
Justifiably, though.
Yeah,
they deserve it.
Yeah.
We deserve the utmost of treatment when we go to
Yeah,
the top of the town in Antrim.
Here, I was going to ask you this, like, because in the podcast we have a lot of fun, right? We have a lot of fun, and we can talk about what I love about doing the podcast is we can change gear, we can talk about anything. What do you think is the key to happiness?
Oh, that's a deep, big one, like.
And has your answer to that or your perception of happiness changed over time?
Yes, so in my marketing course in uni, we used to study like that whole thing because it was like when
you want to make people happy.
Well, when you're doing marketing, they're like when they're talking about products or services that you're marketing to people, like they're talking about how you can market something to make someone feel like it makes them happy, so you buy it. So, for example, if Apple make a product that's an iPhone or an iPad, and they show the advert, you're listening to music, you're walking down the street, you're happy, you see that, and you associate that with happiness. So it was called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is like this table that was constructed like years ago. It's like a pyramid. At the top, it's like stuff like love, and at the bottom you have stuff like food, stuff that you actually need to survive, food, shelter, and then it starts getting up to more personal stuff like your own goals and self-esteem and blah blah blah. So I think it's just a whole mix of things like that. But in terms of like what's changed, I think maybe when I was younger, maybe what made me happy was, I don't know, like it's so hard to answer. What about you? What like?
As in the differences between what used to make me happy and what makes me happy now?
Well, like, do you know what used to make you happy was simpler, wasn't it? Like when you were 14, getting a chippy made you happy.
I think almost the opposite. I think I would have wanted everything to line up.
When you were younger?
Yeah, I would have wanted, it would have taken, I'm like pretty happy person, but when I was younger, I'd be like, if this happens and then that means that happens and then that knocks onto that, if all these things happen together, then I'll be happy. I would need everything in my life to be going right before I was like amazing. Whereas now I will definitely celebrate the smaller victories more.
Right.
And I'll go, all these other things might be happening, but this thing just happened. Here, case in point, yesterday, so I'm living with my in-laws for a while our house is getting done, and I order a t-shirt and a hoodie on ASOS. This is happiness for me now, right? So that's making me happy that they're arriving. Wee things like that. Like I'm looking forward to that. And my mother-in-law texts me, I think, and says, what did you order? And I was like, just t-shirt and hoodie. She's like, it's the biggest package I've ever seen. That makes me happy because I'm going, they've sent the wrong order, but what's in it?
Oh.
So I'm buzzing to get home and go through this because I know that they fucked up the order. And I'm thinking, if my original stuff is also in this and there's extra stuff, this is the stuff dreams are made of. Because who knows, maybe it was like some sort of Middle Eastern
It was
Prince
my
that
order.
ordered.
It was my
I
order.
mean, if it was your order,
Would have arrived on a draft.
I'd be like, I can't wear this stuff because I'm white, But
Me neither.
but I got back and I looked at this. The ASOS package was this by this.
That's a big one.
It was like a buffalo. The ASOS package. I tear into it. I'm like, if this guy that's ordered this stuff is also like very stylish and a medium,
You're just gonna roll
this
with
is the
it.
best.
Yeah.
Now, when I opened it, all the stuff was pretty shit gear and it was large, but my stuff was in it. But I love the fact that
right.
I just had all this stuff, and I
So
was
you-
like, I could give this to this person, and maybe I'll drop these into a charity shop. That just made me really happy.
Yeah, that is a good one. Sort of simple, small thing like that. I get
Wee
the small
bonuses.
things.
The small things kind of make me happy. Like I'd probably
Yeah.
have a flat line of happiness. So unexpected things make me very happy.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, it's like just trying not to let anything trigger like me being sad or angry. Like we all, you always get bad news or something, you always get fucked off at it or whatever. And it's like you sit back and go, right, well, tomorrow I'm still gonna wake up and I'm still gonna go to work and go about my day because you have to as normal.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna stop. Like so, like that realization always made me think like, oh well, nothing's really that massively bad in the scheme of things, you know.
I
When
think
you think about it.
you probably learn acceptance better when you get older. As
Yes.
in, I accept that when you think about it, you've so many spinning plates.
Yeah.
There are so many family, work,
Yes.
health, all this.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you get them all to line, if you try to get them all to be perfect,
It's never
you
gonna
couldn't
work
get
out.
anything done.
Yeah.
So you just have to accept that, like, right, well, that plate's smashed. That's smashed. That's about to fall. Fuck, that's now smashed.
Yeah.
But I explained it to someone recently as like whack-a-mole. You know
Yeah.
that game
Yeah.
where you like bang all the things down and then another one pops up.
Motivational speaker.
So it's
The
like
key to happiness.
you can't keep running about smacking that one down because then that one pops up and you
Yeah.
smack that one down and then two come up. After a while you have to just sort of throw the mallet down
And let the
take a
moles-
seat.
you
And all the moles are just looking at you and you're like, ah. You just have to accept that the moles are going to keep coming up until they actually get. And I think I'm doing okay, but all the moles will eventually come up to the surface and just eat you to death.
No, they want you to hit them with the hammer. They come up and they go, you know what I mean? They have the they're holding it, you know? They're like, come on. You're like, no, you have to stay.
There's no, like, I think you just have to get it to a point where everything's all right.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's happiness, probably.
Yeah, but I also think everyone just has that where it's just like you're just making the best of the situation at the current time. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
all. That's all you can do. Like but yeah,
You know, when we were doing Dad Boys,
Yeah.
we had the expert Alex on.
Yes.
So I sent her an email one day, and she was giving us advice about the boys' advice about parenting. And I said, look, I produce with these two comedians. It's like having two kids you have to look after. Do you have any advice for me? And she's like, lower your expectations.
Is this true?
Yeah. And if you lower expectations in life, you'll be happier.
That's right, though.
that is true. Yeah,
That's true. I mean, very weird that you went to a childcare expert for advice on how to cope with me and Dave.
No, no, perfectly acceptable.
wasn't even part of the show.
It was just like explain the consequences of their actions to them, treat them, reward good work. Is that why you keep giving me wee milky buttons?
Yeah,
I do something right.
we gold stars in your forehead.
Just spent an hour and a half in the naughty step before you arrived.
Yeah,
But you're right. Lowering your, the way people go. Well, I think that's right. Lower expectations, but then sometimes I don't think it's wrong to be like, when someone's like, but this terrible thing might happen. You're like, I know, but it also might not. I think you just have to see how everything goes. Just see how it goes.
yeah, exactly. Just have a middle ground with it. Don't get too hyped up where you're like, this is going to be so good, because then it'll never live
I
up to
used
that.
to do that with stand-up comedy in general.
Yeah.
And work.
Yeah.
Me and Dave used to, at the start of every year, write out these goals that we had. And looking back on them, we did this like 6-7 years ago. I've done 1% of the things that 6 years ago I wanted to do that year. Some of them were ludicrous, and I don't think that's bad to do it.
No.
But when I didn't hit these like goals, it was
Yeah.
like failure, kind of all mini
Yeah.
failures. So now I'm very much like, I don't control. There's so much that you can and won't control.
Yes, do you know it's, I think, a good relatable example if you ever go in for like an acting audition and you nail the audition, like nail the lines, nail the thing, but then it just comes down, they're like, you're 2 inches too short.
Yeah.
And that's literally all it is. And that, or sometimes it's like, your hair is just a little bit too brown for the screen, or that's...
I think they're just telling. I think that's. I mean, that sounds like it's the same people as well. You're 2 inches too short. Okay, I can wear built-up shoes. Your hair's too brown.
Get highlights, yeah.
Whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole. The auditions are exactly what I was going to relate that to.
Yes.
I told the story in the podcast a couple of times before. I love Line of Duty. I go in for a Line of Duty audition.
This is right.
I go especially to get, because I want it so bad, I go to my friend Marty McCann, who's in my opinion like the best actor here, and he like coaches me. And the difference in the start, when I was like, okay, I think, and it was in a Birmingham accent, so I do it at the start to him, and he goes, accent's good, but you're concentrating more on the accent than the acting, you know. So we spent about 2 hours going through it, and by the end I was like, fuck, there is such a big difference in what you've taught me here. Shoot it, send it off. 2 days later, me and Dave were about to do Boytown. We're outside Cafe Nero in Hollywood. I get a phone call from my agent, who's based up in Derry, and he goes, "You've got." He phoned me, and I, before he said anything, I went, "I've got the part," and I'm saying it as a joke. I'm saying it as a joke though, because again, even though I put the work into it, I'm presuming I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
So I go, "I got the part," thinking he's phoning me about something else, and he goes, "Actually, yes." I was like, "Oh my god." He goes, "I'll phone you back and get more details." I go into Nero, tell Dave. Dave's like, "Mate, that's unbelievable." Gives me a hug, and I'm like, "This is great. Like, this is so good." I get ready to phone my wife and mum and dad, and then my agent phones me back, and I go, "Don't tell me there's been a balls up, has there?" Ha ha ha. And he's like, "Yeah, legitimately, the casting director phoned the agent of another actor called Shane." Because the guy who got it is called Shane, and he was my agent. Not his fault at all. Was so apologetic. I thought he was going to cry. He's like, "Mate, I'm so sorry." He's like, "I can't believe this," and I was like, "It's fine." And he goes, "I know you're just saying it." I was like, "No." I was like, "This is funny. Like, this is very funny." Because I enjoy my own misfortune at times when like no one's died.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's
the Van Morrison story being a key example last week.
Literally this day last week. So I ran into Dave, and I'm more excited to tell him about what's happened to me than I would have been excited about getting the role. I'm more excited for this story to come out of like this fucking balls up that happened to me. And I can't control it. Well, what else was I going to do? Like be raging or gutted for weeks about this? I was like, no, it just wasn't to be. Like, I mean... The only audition I was legitimately like, you know, a bit aggrieved at was there's a movie from here about stand up. They filmed it like earlier this year, at the start of this year, and Paddy Katie's in it. And
actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about
It's
that.
about a stand up course, right?
Right.
And it's about people in a community that do a course in stand up comedy, and then they put on like a showcase. I was asked to audition for it, and I said, have I told you this? No? Maybe. I said, my agent's like, they've asked if you want to, I mean, they ask hundreds of people, but they've asked if you want to go for this. I said, yeah. I said, do you want me to pick one of my clips, and we'll send it, of me doing stand-up, we'll send it over. He goes, nah, they're looking for you to like audition, you know, to play a part of a comedian. And I said, well, you know, I already have the audition tape, kind of. I've got, what's better than the audition tape?
Yeah, do you want my audition tape at the Waterfront Hall, or do you want my audition tape at the...
No, it wasn't that I was saying I have this high profile. I was basically being like, you can hear me doing stand-up, but you can also see a live audience in it. So, you know, it probably shows that I'd be pretty perfect for this because I am this, you know? And they were like, no, they've written a bit of stand-up for the script. They want you to read that to a camera with no one there. And my argument was sort of like, I know, but that's because of COVID, and we'd be doing this in the room, so I can show you me doing it in a room. At the end of the day, it wasn't that big a back and forth. I was like, no problem, I'll do it. If that's what they want, I'll do it, no problem. And I get and it says like, feel free to improvise. So I make my own interpretation of it. The premise of the bit is, it's like a bit about your dad. You know, it's a sort of bit I could see myself doing. It wasn't a bad bit of stand up, and I'm like, you know, going a bit deadpan with it, and it's fine. And I just didn't get the part. So that's the only issue where, although I look at them after reflectively and go, retrospectively and go, you know, bygone, you know, no problem, just wasn't meant to be. That's the only where I was like, that's hectic.
Yeah,
I
because
wasn't convincing enough at being me.
yeah,
A stand up.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, I can understand
Again,
that
I
one.
wasn't that annoyed. I was more excited to just get on the podcast and tell the story of it.
But yeah, I didn't
Dairy
know that
Girls,
was-
I fucked up.
I was gonna say, have you ever like did an audition and got close to getting a part
Yeah.
in something?
Dairy Girls.
Dairy Girls. What
Yeah,
was the
apparently
part?
So. The part was somebody that was, I don't know if the
Wasn't a recurring character. It was like a one-off
I
part.
don't
or something?
know. It might have been, but it was a character who, I'm not saying too much detail because someone got that part, but bear in mind, they might have just been telling me, someone said, you were like, it was between you and this other person, and he didn't get it. But
Isn't that
again,
always-
that might not be true.
That's
right?
always what they say, though, isn't it?
But I didn't, it was my first ever audition in front of a casting director, proper audition, and it said about being off book, and I
Yes.
thought that meant you can read off the book. So you don't have to. I was like, you don't have to learn it. I scanned it and stuff.
no.
And I was to do like I think it was to do a Derry accent. Fine with that. So I just walk in, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Do you want to start?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I'm like this, close to my face.
They were like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "I'm off book, dickheads."
Yeah, no, they said I did it, and I thought it went quite well. And they were like, "Could you make some eye contact with us?" And I was like, "Well, I'd have to, look at it." And then
Do you want me to do it on book?
And then at the end, the guy goes, "Do you want to go to Starbucks across the road?" They were so sound. Do you want to go and try and learn it and then come back? Which like they didn't even have to do.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And then someone explained to me days later what off book meant, and I went, "Oh, I was the opposite. I was on book." And then like months later, somebody involved said, "If you had known it, you would have got it." But that could have just been to make me feel better. But
I know, sometimes it's sad. There's one audition I remember going horrendous, and I shouldn't have even been at it. It was when I was like 23.
it was for soul playing too.
No, I would have got that. What's up, Snoop? That's how I deliver my dialogue. But yeah, it was for. I was like 23, and I'll give him a shout out here. Kieran Doherty from Stellify Media fame, like a production company guy that we know, was like, "Aaron, I know this guy casting for an advert." He's like, "I don't know any details about it, but it's for a comedian." He's like, "Just go down there." He's like, "It's a comedy role." He's like, "Go down there. I get you time slot 11 o'clock, whatever." I was like, "Cool, yeah. I'm not doing anything else
How
in my
long
life."
ago? Oh, you were 23.
23. Now, so keep in mind, 23. Like, I looked pretty young at 23. I maybe didn't have as much of a beard, probably clean shaven, like very, very younger looking than.
Still had your hymen.
Yeah, still do. The Marsole anyway. The not for long. I don't know what that means, but I go down to fucking Malone Road or wherever the audition was being held, and they hand you like a page on the day.
Yeah.
And they're like, "It's an advert for a shopping centre. You're playing the role of a husband, right?
Right.
They're playing the role of a husband, and your line is 'Yes, dear.'" And you just have to repeat the line "Yes, dear" over and over again. And they're like, "Here's your wife," and they bring her into the room like a 40-year-old lady. And I just went, I was just like, all right. And they filmed the audition, so somewhere out there this tape exists.
Oh, we have to try. And
I don't
track
know
that down.
I don't even know what company it was or
Yes.
anything.
Yes, dear.
Yeah, but
And you and me could never call someone dear.
I know I was doing different variations and all. I was like, "Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
no.
Yes, dear." I was just so bad. I was like, no, but you could tell even the camera guy sat on the camera was just standing there going,
We're wasting everyone's
"We're
time.
wasting. Why don't we just tell this kid to go home? Like, he's 23. He can barely he barely got here. Like, he's not gonna have a wife."
So, me and Dave auditioned for Harpad, the one that Mickey got. Right?
Yes.
And it was in the Europa, and you auditioned as a pair. So if you didn't know someone, you just got paired with a stranger.
Oh, that's interesting.
But if you knew someone that was wanting to audition for it, you could go in together. So me and Dave go in for it. And it's an ad for Harp, and we're playing two guys that are like, going round Northern Ireland, looking at different things, and But we got into the room and they said, we want you to, you're going to like run about the Giants Causeway or something with pints of harp. So we said like, oh great, and we're looking for the pints of harp for the audition. And they went, so yeah, just visualize the harp. And I looked at Dave and looked at them and I was like, I know, but can we get like, are we going to get pints of harp?
Do you notice the theme between this and the last story? You take things too literally.
Yeah.
Off book. Like pints of harp.
It's an ad for harp. We're talking about pints of harp, and we're doing it in the Europa where there are multiple bars, and I'm sure they serve harp. So unrealistically, I expect to have pints of harp, and the guy goes, "Just feel it out, just pretend." And I'm
just
like,
act.
well, there's a bar there. If we could get those. Anyway, me and Dave do it, and it's all like, you know, and if you're acting trained and stuff, and maybe you haven't like, you know, stage background, you'd be more comfortable doing this. But they're basically saying, pretend you're on a Ferris wheel, pretend you're in a car. But I can't, because I just really do stand up. It's me and a microphone and nothing's make believe.
Yeah, you can't like put yourself in the scenario and just
No, I can't
go.
be comfortable being like, you know, like doing that. Like that was pretty good, right? Don't know why I'm.
Why is that leg go up so high?
That's why I didn't get that Citron ad. Let me back it up.
You're just driving in a car. Oh right, it's doing yoga.
So, hey man, you wanna hit the town here? It's short traffic's pretty bad.
You'd be the worst mime artist ever.
So anyway, they're like, you know, you're running away from Finn McCool, you're running down the Giants Causeway.
You're like, where is he?
With these
You're
pints.
like, I know Hordor. Do you want me to get him to come in?
You're running away with these pints. So me and Dave are pretend to walk about with pints. And me and Dave take a laughing fit during it because we know we're not going to get it. And it's like you with the shopping centre ad.
Yeah.
We know we're not going to get it, so we know this is a huge waste of everyone's time.
I know.
But no one's going to stop it, so we're there for like 15 minutes doing all these act outs. And Dave and I are gone, like in stitches, giggling, and no one else is laughing. So we have these fake pints of harp and all, and you know, do cheers, and then you know, you're running down the West Link. All this stuff goes on. At the end of the thing, the guys are like, "So guys, cheers. We'll be in touch," and we know they're not going to be in touch. At the end, right? Bear in mind, they haven't laughed. The crew haven't laughed at anything. Casting team were from England. They haven't laughed at anything me and Dave have done. As me and Dave were walking out the door, we like nodded at each other, and we went, yeah, and we walked back up to them, and they were getting ready for the next people to come in, and me and Dave went up to them and went, "Here, I'll just give you those." I hated it. They hated it. The guy's like, yeah, just fucking set them there. We're like, "Oh, sorry, mate." I think I spilt a wee bit over there.
Pass that to the next actor. Sanitize that before you hand it to him.
Yeah, sure, I'm driving, but so then I got in my
He was
car.
like, "How's that look?" Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the bumpy road.
Oh.
The key to happiness, I don't know.
It's like, do you ever watch any of the motivational coaches or anything like that? They're so culty, like. They're
Not
so.
really. I remember.
I feel bad for the people that get like sucked into it, like, you know, the seminars and stuff, and like.
Yeah, I remember driving to football once, and I hadn't been playing years ago. I hadn't been playing well, and I decided to get some like motivational rip the audio from YouTube motivational videos. You know, like building music in the background, and it's some retired US sergeant, and he's like, "You wake up every day,
Yeah.
knowing that you might fail, but you still wake up." You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like those.
Put that in. Arnold Schwarzenegger gives some speech at a university about the 5-10 rules of life or something. I listened to this driving to Donner Park in Newcastle to play a match. Get there, fucking pumped. We got beat like 9-0. That was brutal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've did that before as well.
All that, like, even like motivation in real life, like if you had like, you know, a teacher or a coach or something like screaming at you and trying to, it doesn't really work with me. I like just like straight up normal chat. Go out there and sure have it. Enjoy
Don't
it.
change things that you would normally do in your daily life, because then it's not you.
And then I wouldn't want to build like a reliance on that level of motivation
Yeah.
Or like if I didn't have a chance to like listen to some sort of recording or watch some video or have a session with some like motivator, Mr. Motivator. If I miss that, then I'll be panicked and all. I know I think I'm pretty self motivated.
Yeah.
Times where I'm not,
Yes.
but by and large, I'm naturally pretty motivated to like work hard and do well.
Well, yeah, you've got like good motivation in terms of like
Yeah.
you know what you want for yourself, you've your own goals and stuff like that. But then you also have the family to look after, which is a motivator too, and things like that. And you have your house that you're working on, which is a motivator. And we all have those little things, you know. And I think that's a healthy thing to have.
Motivator, and then I'm doing all the building work myself, so
You are,
yeah.
Shoulders
I mean,
are coming in well.
Foundations are very. Why do you? I think that's just the scam.
Yeah.
Foundations, bricks below the house. Yeah, right.
I know.
Here,
Yeah, good one. Just
you start at ground level with the bricks.
yeah,
I think that's probably the best way to do it.
save money.
Yeah.
You know, save resource. The house will be fine.
Yeah. I'm doing timber frame, all timber really.
All timber
Just
frame.
all wood.
That's good. Yeah.
I would love it if a property developer for some sort of reality TV show paid me and you to build a house,
Oh, fuck.
and we had a week to do it, and a family of 5 were going to move in.
Oh no.
No experience. We're not allowed to bring anyone else in. We just have like a yard of supplies, and me and you have to build them a house.
Here's what would happen. We would go buy one of those fucking bouncy castles or something and just blow it up. No, one of those house bouncy
We'll try and
castles.
cement round it.
Yeah, and that would be something we would do. The only DIY we've ever done was in your office in
Oh my god.
in
old office.
the old Boy Town office in Hollywood. Me and you at the start of one of the years just decided to take a notion and do some DIY.
Right, let me set this up. We used to have the first ever Boytown studio that me and Dave had was also in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And we've had 3 offices. So we started in this one, and it was you were in it once or twice.
The first couple of episodes of
First episodes of this were in there. I forgot about that, and you can tell that like it's a bit rough and ready.
It was rough.
It was you had it was on. You go up a fire escape round the back of a restaurant and cross the roof of the restaurant. You walk across the roof.
Didn't feel legal.
Anyway, it was bad, but like we loved it at the time. 'Cause
Yeah,
we
it
had
had
somewhere to go.
It had
somewhere to
charm.
do.
It was like it was his own thing. Like
I mean, it had charm, but also I would never have been in it alone. Looking for anyone to also come on around to the studio, man. We'll do a podcast. Just random people on the street. Sit there while I work because I'm scared for my life. But there was like a lot. You could have done a lot. We did do a lot. Like we put opening windows in it because the window were just a window. Put opening windows in. We carpeted it out. We kept it as tidy. We did wee bits and pieces. But then, yeah, it was like the start of a year and probably that motivating thing where you're like, look, let's go into this year and do it right. And I said, I wanna just do some improvements to it. So I got my best man for the job. Me and the butt man took ourselves to, I don't think it was IKEA, it was like B&Q. We went to B&Q and spent about 38 quid on things.
To do up a whole office that was totally in tatters.
And me and you went there. Me and you showed up in a pair of shorts and a couple of string vests. And it was like in Zoolander when he goes down the mine.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you were not cut out for it. We had all the gear, no idea, as people would say. And we went in with like hammers, all the wrong equipment.
Yeah.
And the main thing I remember doing is getting, you know that foam that expands?
This is what I remember.
So you plug up a gap by putting a little bit of foam. It opens out and you plug a gap.
Yeah.
I remember being so into that and getting really carried away. Yes. And there was a pipe. There was like a plastic pipe, and then it was like a circular tube, and there was a square cut out around it, and there was a few inches in all these gaps. And like you probably should have put like something else around it. And I was like, you can use this foam. Put a bit of plastic. I was like, this foam's a great job. You can do anything with it. So I poured loads of it into this hole, and I was like, I think that's done a great job, and that's boarded up. Walked back in like 2 hours later, and it was like something from a mid-90s horror film where things keep spawning. It had just expanded, and then it just like it took up the whole room. Well, not really, but it was big. Like,
yeah, and the best thing is you got so like trigger happy with the foam. You were just like doing wee random bits in
like
places.
A foam party. It was like BCM.
You were just like.
But we did no improve. We technically did.
We made it worse. Yeah, I built one table and it wasn't never straight.
That's right.
But I was proud of it. Like, but yeah, that was our one bit of day, and we did it for about 40 minutes and went home.
Oh no, I think we went and got a really nice lunch. I think we're like, we'll be here for 4 hours. and
You're
half
like,
an hour
bear
was-
not. Yeah, we want to pace ourselves here. We don't
Yeah.
want to do too much work at once.
Oh man, I think I'm resigned to never being a real DIY guy.
Our generation
Get
aren't.
someone to do it. that knows
Unless
what
you're a
they're
tradesperson, not like back. My dad like knows how to do everything, and like his generation would.
doing. Yeah,
but that's
YouTube's
because
good for some stuff.
it's not bad. But it's like my dad would be like, "Oh, you don't know anything." Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but you grew up without internet and YouTube and
yeah,
like
Uber Eats, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Your generation had to like walk to a cafe and that sort of
Yeah, well, if I had all the time in the world and bored as fuck, and there was only 4 TV channels, I'd have probably fucking put a few nails in the wall. Like,
It's such a hard roast of your dad.
but it's just like he just fucking he thinks I'm useless. Well, I am, but like,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, a whack-a-mole popped up there. Thanks, some music.
My
This
wee
thing
ma-
won't stretch on the screen. Our generation, don't know. It's like there's some good about it. I think our generation, but every generation probably thinks this, are like in the middle of our parents' generation of like work hard, do everything yourself, DIY, practical, and then the young generation now of like TikTok and you know weird fashion and
internet coding, all that
and
sort
not
of
living
stuff.
in real life. I feel like we're the normalists because we're in the middle. We have a wee bit of that.
We're a
we
bit
have
of a
wee
hybrid.
that.
Well, we were the last generation that grew up without the internet.
Yeah.
Because you obviously remember being a kid not having the internet, and this is the, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like, I think maybe when I was about 13, 14, you start getting like dial up and stuff, but it was like
Yeah.
before the internet, you never once were like, oh, I need the internet. But now that you have it, you're like,
Couldn't be.
yeah,
without it.
your phone, you're like, oh, how can I not be on Instagram? You know what I mean? But like back in
Yeah.
1995, no one was like, oh,
I remember the first time I really got on the internet. I was worried at some point it would be taken away. The internet in general. I was like, this might not stick around.
you thought it was too good to be.
I thought like the Mr. Internet might just go pull this. So I
Jeeves.
remember going on to the WWF at the time, WWE wrestling website.
oh, I did that
I'm
too.
printing out the biography of every single wrestler. I'm putting it into a ring binder just so if I ever needed to pull up that information, I could. If I ever needed to know how much Al Snow weighed, I could look it up. Or if I needed to know where the wrestler The Godfather was originally from, I could just thumb it out and find out.
You tried to print the entire internet, which
Oh,
is
I
such a
was
you thing.
Crazy with printing.
Yeah, I'm sure your dad just had to constantly keep buying ink.
Yeah, and then you phone me like people don't know that. If you're on dial-up and you phone someone,
Oh, you couldn't be on both at once. And your
that's
mum,
crazy.
that was mad, wasn't it? Like when you think back, like your mum was like, "Get off that! I need to phone your Aunt Tracy."
But do you think it'll go the other way, where like, because everything's so fake now, almost in a way, the fact that everything's online, virtual reality, we're just getting away from like real life. Do you think it might just ever go the other way?
What were we just strip back and just get back to nope?
Maybe that. No, you don't think that'll happen over lockdown?
I think it go.
People going out in nature more, people connecting more.
Well, I think there's a wee bit of that, but I think as more children generations get older and stuff like that, you'll get this reliance and dependency even more so on technology.
But I have an overwhelming feeling of like powerlessness and like desperation at that, where I'm like wait, like let's not let that happen.
Yeah, but you can't. But
How-
like you can't stop it. It's like a snowball that's just going downhill constantly. Like the next stage is just going to be virtual realities and like augmented reality and things you're seeing. Like you'll go into a shop and the prices will pop up out of the holograms and it'll be just.
But
insane.
will you be wearing glasses for it?
First, I mean, I don't know what way it'll develop, but I have no idea. Like, I don't
What do you
know.
mean you go into the shop and you see the price? You can do that now.
Yeah, but it's not on it's like a virtual tag or something like that, or you'll have like window screens.
What if you go into a room that's empty, but when you put these goggles on,
That's what it'll be. You'll be able to shop like that. You'll be able to fucking
do you think you would go over and like
try grab the
or do you
t-shirt,
think
try it
you
on
just-
all.
Would you think you just like do like a thing to it?
Well, that's the other thing.
And it goes into your
We'll
trolley?
Yeah.
What? Do you know what I think? You just think I would like
Will
that?
we even be talking to each other, or will we just look at each other?
Do you know what I think would still be a nice touch? A wee virtual reality trolley you have to put a wee virtual pound into. I think that would be a nice touch to
You
keep,
just don't
keep
want-
stuff like that.
Yeah, you want to have
I don't want to let go of the past.
the way it used to be, but in new age.
I think I'm having that feeling, like I don't want to let go of the past.
That's how you know you're getting older.
You think so?
Oh, I think it's a sign of it, yeah. Where you start looking back, going, "Oh, remember back in blah blah blah." But like, it's even
You're
when,
right.
even when you notice
You're right.
people, like I always notice this with people when a new app comes along. Like, it's like the dad thing where it's like TikTok comes along and a bunch of boys go, "I don't know, fucking TikTok, that's for kids and all." But then what you don't realize is the app is literally passing you by, and you're missing the opportunity to get on it and do something. You know what I mean? Even though it might feel like, oh, it's a bit of a young person saying, "Too old for that now," blah blah blah. It's just another fucking thing. Like it's like the internet in early days, but it's a different
Yeah.
form of it. You know?
I think I'm close to just being where I'm at
Yeah.
and letting. Like I think after a while you have to stop fighting the tide
Right.
and the waves, and you have to just lie down on the beach and let it cover you. And
Jesus.
then after a while, this is not like life. I'm talking about technology and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you try like you're on some Instagram, you're using this and
Yeah.
TikTok, but I think whatever comes after TikTok,
You're done. You're
I
checked
won't be able
out.
to do. That's what I mean. I'll have to just lie down on the seabed and let the water come over me. But I think when you let the water come over you,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, if this was isolated as a clip, this could be taken so badly. I think eventually when you let the water just come over you, you just feel like it'll feel really calm. I
See,
think it'll feel.
Sounds
calm.
like you're drowning and Butler's surfing the wave.
I'm surfing the wave.
He's surfing. He's up there. He's a 78-year-old surfer. Cowabunga. But what I'm saying is he'll look weird eventually up on that surfboard.
I mean, you say
Because
eventually,
all your mates will be down like me on the seabed,
Dead.
just lying there like dead jellyfish.
and I'm surfing with a bunch of young lads.
Here, see when I was in Donegal.
Yeah.
There's jellyfish all over, and I heard someone in the bar saying, "Oh, if it stings you, it's just like a nettle sting or a bee sting." I thought if it stung you, you'd near die. Like.
No, you don't near die.
Nah, there's lots of different ones, but in
Do you ever been
general,
stung by jellyfish?
yeah, loads of times. Generally, it's just like nettle sting or
Oh, you're
wasp
hard.
sting.
It sounds like you're actively going out to just try and get
Yeah,
some.
he's standing in them and all.
Standing on
Yeah.
Just sitting on the beach with two jellyfish and out of food. I think if I hadn't have found that out, say I went for like a swim by myself, like when the baby was down to bed, if I was like, because the beach was just there, like, oh, for a wee nighttime swim. If I was by myself and didn't hear that it was just like a nettle sting and got stung by a jellyfish, I probably would have died of panic in the water. I would never have made it out of the water.
Yeah.
I'd have just had the real, like what I've said about lying on the seabed. I would have done that in real life. But like, there's no point in me fighting this, and I would have just been washed up.
Isn't it true? You just piss on it to get the sting to go away, don't you?
No.
Yeah.
That's the theory, is that it's like alkaline and acid and it just neutralizes it.
So if someone pisses on your leg, it gets the sting out of it.
Maybe R. Kelly was just paranoid.
A jellyfish stung your face again? No, it didn't.
Yeah.
Shut up.
It's landlocked around here, bro. You're like, no.
We're in Atlanta.
He
There's
keeps
no.
going, ah.
He just has a fish tank full of jellyfish. Do you want to see it? Get your face right up, dude.
Why did it sting you on top of the head? Are you not wearing a hat? Ah.
Oh,
Is
but
there any deep life questions you want to throw out, or you want to explore? Because we're under the current at the minute, and it's nice. It's nice under here.
what when you're 65,
Yep.
what do you think it is you'll look back on and just reminisce about, or what'll be like a memory, or what'll be like a nostalgic thing you'll just sit back and you'll be just proud of, or you'll have a feeling come over you? I'll tell you, like, I'll start it off. I have like really fond memories of performing in the Grand Opera House, and I think just looking back on it at the time, I might not have, like, I enjoyed it at the time, but as I get older, I can appreciate it so much more because the Opera House has like real history to it, and like shows it's been around for, it's such an
Yeah,
establishment to be able to say you did like a show in it and stuff like that.
Did you go there as a kid?
Yeah.
With your school, you go see a panto or whatever.
Yeah, and at the time, people were like to me, they were like take this and appreciate it. I don't think it did as much as I should have because I was sort of just like having fun or whatever. But the But yeah, looking back, whenever you just look out
Yeah.
into the audience, it's like, wow, this is a special feeling, you know.
I think I appreciate everything, but probably don't spend a lot of time comprehending the scale of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because
Like-
you're in it.
Like, I get it, and I'm in it, but then sometimes I feel like I don't really have time, and I've got to think of the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not at a, like, my mind doesn't work too fast.
Certainly
not working-
doesn't.
It's not like turbo mind where I'm like, you know, like Kanye West, like already thinking like 10 projects ahead.
Yeah.
But if I do like the waterfront or whatever, I'm thinking about what's next year, what can I learn from it, what's next year's show about. It's very rare I would take a step back and go, I can't believe I did that. Like,
Yeah.
like that happened. I think the thing I would probably look back on and be really proud and happy about is the fact that there was a large amount of people that supported me doing the thing I love doing the most.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's
That there was people that like
invested.
have come to more than one show.
Yeah.
People that come to all the shows, and you're like, it's like having fans. It's like
Yeah.
did
It's
something that had enough of an impact.
yeah. I think you gotta like as we get older too, you realize how more valuable time is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
so to then think, oh, someone has taken loads of time out of their time to see me
And
do what
money.
you know what I mean, and money. Like I think, but even the money's not even the big one. Like it's the time, because
Yeah.
like someone has literally booked a babysitter, went out for a drink, spent 4 hours of the night just dedicated to going to see your show. That's a night they could have did something else. They could have
Yeah.
sat in the house. They could have saved money or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a good.
I don't think I spend a lot of time thinking about that in a scale way or
But you're on the journey too still. Like when you think, like they always say that, it's like it is about like the journey is the part of it that you don't really take time to reflect on. But like when you eventually settle down with it, you'll remember the little times, like when we met at Nando's at 5 o'clock one day and flipping couldn't get a table, or when we went to this venue that had like, you'll always remember those little quirky things that happened. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I think those will always come flooding back whenever things eventually.
And I think that when you do take it all in a certain way, and if you do overthink it, and I think that can be the time that you almost get a bit stale at the thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Definitely.
I think if you spend a lot of time longing for like the time where it was at its best or something. I don't know. I'm very like, I just love doing it so much that I don't really stop too often, because I don't want I don't want it to slow down or something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. What do you think in like 10? Do you know, I would love to just be able to have like I would love to flash forward to 10 years time.
I would
Not like I don't mean like I mean like just to peak, just to
I
peak,
don't-
just
I wouldn't say, I wouldn't
I want, and here's what I want to peak of. I would love to see a peak of who's doing stand up, not from our sort of crowd or whatever, but like who's the new guys?
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
like the 12-year-old now sitting in the house watching this podcast going, in 8
Yeah.
years time I want to book a gig. Like that's the sort of I want to see those guys come through. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
something exciting to me about that.
I wouldn't take a glimpse into the future at all. Would you?
Really?
Never.
See, I've got too much of it. I would love to see that. I would
Say
love to
you
see
have
100 years in the future. I would love. I want like I'm one of these people that like. Go ahead.
100 years is different, but
Suppose.
because it's not personal.
Well, could
What
still
happens
could
if you
be.
look at your personal situation 10 years from now, or even the world, and you see something horrific? Then the
But you
rest of
can't
your life,
change it.
you're going to be like, yeah, because then you might try and change it, and that's when that thing happens.
That's what causes it.
Well, let's say in my reality, you get a glimpse, and then you get Men in Black like mind erased right away, so you don't know what
yeah.
happens.
No, I still not taking
You still
it.
wouldn't. But yeah, I would like. I'm one of these people that like. I would love to just fucking live forever just to see
I wouldn't.
what happens.
Well, I say I wouldn't. You definitely have that thing probably with family where it will all go on in a way, if you know what I mean. Like you do have to like check out, hopefully when you're very old, but it's the fact that fun stuff will still be happening with the people that you kind of know.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, like your job, well, not your job, that's totally wrong. In my situation now, I'm just teeing it up for the next generation.
Yes.
I'm getting it all in place, making sure that it carries on in the best possible way. But then it would be difficult to, and then I'm all about like, you know, circle of life. Like I love all that kind of stuff. That's why with like deaths in the family and stuff, as difficult and terrible as they are, then, you know, there's a baby born 6 months later or something, you go, right, that's kind of the universe in a way.
That is when it all boils down to it. Like, yeah.
But what I mean is, I wouldn't want to be around forever at all. But I think, but then our attitudes even change a bit, where you're like, you know, you let things go a bit more, you start getting worried about time. But then probably when you're very old as well, you'd be less afraid of like passing on and all that sort of stuff, and you go, I've had my time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is like even when I talk to like my granny and stuff like that, she has like this like, it's almost like an ambience about her where it's just like I've lived, like
Exactly.
I'm just here now enjoying the final chapter, and it's all good.
Well, I have that thing of like, if I'm on a plane and there's this is maybe a mad thing, or maybe people go, or a load of people do that. If I'm on a plane and there's real bad turbulence, my first very calm thought is, well, if this is it and I can control this, it's been class. Only if it was like a disaster or something I couldn't control, if you know, like I would hate it.
Yeah.
But I think I'd be able to. You won't know till you're in the situation, but I think what I mean is, I'd be like, you know what, it's been great.
That's I was in a plane once, and
All right.
Yeah.
Drop that in there.
Just want to say that. Shout out to British Airways.
Globetrotter.
And a situation happened, turbulence, like, but it was turbulence to an extent where like everyone on the plane felt the plane do a drop, and the noise I heard whenever it dropped from people's reaction would, I can still do this. I can still
feel it?
I can feel it right now. Like, it was like literally, it was like women going like this gasp, and like everyone did it. It wasn't just like one person. It was like the whole plane, and I was like, and it freaked me out and stuff too. But then like, so that like, whenever you're saying about like, oh, I think I would feel like, well, this is it, blah blah, blah, I think I would be I think I would fucking just freak
out.
the shit out. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It's easy to say that, and I'm like, you know, maybe if there had been a wee bit more terms, I would have burst into tears and scream. But what I mean is, there was just a moment where I was like,
well, you had a moment, yeah.
where I was like, I want to live till I'm very old, you know, like a very old happy man.
We'll be doing this at 100.
Oh,
easy.
Well, I'll be 100 talking about the Manscaped lawnmower 28.0.
Yeah, the one that gets out your big droopy balls.
I mean, the battery life on these are really long, and it's wireless charging, but I'll still need 6 chargers to get the ball sorted.
You'll be on your 5th circumcision. You'll be like, it's that time of year again.
I would love to be an old. I think a podcast is a great. You know, when performers and comedians, especially get to a certain age, they go, going to retire from stand up and stage stuff because, you know, I feel like I shouldn't be doing. Podcast is probably the medium where I go, you should still be doing that though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, is there any like old or Larry King, like in terms of like, he was old when he was doing this whole interview radio thing.
Letterman, I'm sure would do a brilliant podcast.
Well, he still does the Netflix show.
Yeah.
So
what I mean is, he could do a podcast.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a great outlet, and people like this.
Just the glamorized
one on Netflix is 10 out of 10.
I've been meaning to watch it. I've been meaning to watch it for a long time.
It and Tommy Tiernan's RT show are two of the best sit down chat shows.
Yeah, they're very good.
That I like. I think I'll have to wrap it there because I need to pee so bad.
Okay.
I need to pee so bad.
Okay.
We got a couple of whack-a-moles come up. I think we're gonna take care of those.
Oh.
But this was a lot of fun. This was one of the most enjoyable podcasts I've ever done.
Good fun, light entertainment for
especially
the people.
because what we were gonna do is look at like TikTok and YouTube videos and analyze them. We were literally gonna do the opposite of this.
But we will do that next week.
We will do that. Yeah. We're like, man, what is after death? And like, hold on, I'm just going to show you this video of a guy saying you fucking love your McDonald's.
Yeah, play this and the next week's podcast beside each other and just let us know the two different personalities.
Yeah, let's balance this out next week with weirdness.
Just filth.
Yeah, okay. All right, brother. Hey. Cheers.
Pleasure. Thanks.
This was a triangle of feelings here. and let's just stay in it for a little bit longer after the podcast ends. Actually, I need to shave my pubes. Let's do that. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. That made it sound like I'm going to trim my pubes live on Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. I'm not.
Yes.
Unless we can maybe get to 1,000, in which case I might. But you'll just be able to see my face. You'll not be able to see anything below the belt.
It's weirder.
Yeah. Because then the NHS will be able to prescribe people trying to get circumcisions. If we did that.